The Japanese Nintendo 3DS experience in 2023. Is it good? Is it bad? What are the downsides? Do you have to do a region change? In this video, I'm going to be answering all of those questions and much more, so let's get started. As I've said before in my previous videos, I think that the 2DS and 3DS consoles are some of the best to have ever existed in the gaming world. Now when it comes to the prices for these though, the prices are absolutely outrageous, sometimes getting all the way up to $350 and higher. A way to avoid this, which I have learned, is buying a Nintendo 2DS XL or whatever other system you want in the 3DS lineup from Japan or another country. Now the only problem with this, many people have said, is that you lose access to some features, as well as losing access to your native language, which can be a problem for some, but luckily can be fixed, as I've seen with my system. So first, let's talk about the region changing aspect. If you go ahead and buy a Japanese Nintendo 2DS or 3DS system, you're going to notice that the language is in Japanese, or if you buy it from another country, it's going to be in that country's language. So the only way to fix this is by following the guide over at the wonderful 3ds.hacks.guide website, and also huge shout out to all of those people who have made that guide possible. It teaches you how to homebrew your system, which I've talked about in other videos, and if you have CFW custom firmware and you need to have your language, then you can region change your system and that will be fixed. Now there are some downsides to this. You will lose the eShop if you have access to the eShop in the country's language. Like for example, I bought a Japanese 2DS XL and the person who I bought it from had already accessed the eShop, which means when I region changed my system, I was not able to use it, which is totally fine because there's applications like the HShop, which make updates and games possible. And the eShop is already closed, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So if you're one of those people who have bought a, say, Japanese system and want to change it to your language so you can actually read the screen and stuff, then all you have to do is go to 3ds.hacks.guide and follow the custom firmware tutorial, which you most likely will need an internet connection for at this point, so just be aware of that. And then when you're done with the tutorial, then once you have custom firmware, you can go to the region changing page and it'll teach you how to region change your system. And like I said, the only downside is losing eShop access, which was actually great. And a lot of people have gotten confused on the 3ds.hacks.guide region changing page when it says Nintendo Network ID will not be usable, but all that means is that the Nintendo Network ID will not be usable if you already have a Nintendo Network ID. If you make a new Nintendo Network ID once you've region changed the system, then everything is going to be a-okay, it'll all be fine, and you'll still be able to play games online with your Nintendo Network ID, which I thought was pretty neat, but it was kind of annoying how that was a little bit confusing. But I worked through it, and I have access to my Nintendo Network ID, and it works great. So yeah. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the eShop. So if you still need to download updates, which pretty much everyone does, because there's going to be a point in time where you're going to need to update a game, and if you want maybe even free games and you're okay with getting free games, then you can download this awesome application called the HShop. And all that does is that it lets you get free games, and it can download updates. Now, the process isn't as simple as downloading updates on the eShop, but it's still relatively simple. You have to find your title that you want to update, and then all you do is you just press A and download the update, and then it'll be updated when you go to the home page and look at your game, which is awesome. And all of this, by the way, is for free. So if you're okay with that, then go ahead and download the eShop and you're good. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the price. Now, I paid a pretty penny for my Nintendo 2DS XL because in Japan, the red and black version is called the Mario Kart 7 pack, and it's pretty expensive because it's a special edition. And all that means is that it was a special edition. I mean, there's nothing more to it. It was just, yeah. So if you want to buy a normal Nintendo 2DS XL from Japan, you're most likely going to end up saving a lot of money and maybe even getting it for less than or at the original cost, which was $150 US, which I think is crazy and great. So why not buy from Japan if you get all of the same things with region changing and custom firmware? So yeah, like, why wouldn't you do that and just save some money? One of the other downsides from buying from Japan is that you might have to wait a little bit unless you find someone who will ship it to you really fast. Like mine got shipped within like 5 days, which is crazy for Japan, and like thank you, dude, whoever you are who sent me my DS, and I really appreciated that. But that's besides the point, because most people are going to be waiting a pretty long time, maybe like 2 to 3 weeks for this. But I think it's worth the wait, and if you're not in an urgent rush to get a Nintendo DS, then I think it's perfectly fine to save some money and wait a little bit for your console. Alrighty guys, well that's my thoughts on buying a Nintendo 2DS XL from Japan, or whatever other system you want to buy in the 3DS lineup. So if this helped you, drop a like, drop a sub. If you like my channel, comment down below what you thought, and punch the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video. And thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.